Welcome to this week's episode of the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel couple. I'm Britt and my partner Ryan, and every Tuesday we hop on and share stories and tips to help inspire you to book that next trip. This week we're talking about moments that changed our brain chemistry while we were traveling forever. Those moments that we will never be the same after having experienced.
Yeah, for me, one that stands out is scuba diving in El Nido, getting my PADI certification.
Yeah.
So a little bit of background on this. In my senior year of college, I was part of the scuba diving club in the college.
Yeah.
Which I was only there for about a year, but in that year, I did the theory tests and all that, passed that, and I was in the pool classes, like where they teach you like the basic skills for scuba, but you're in a confined pool and it's not as dangerous as being out in the open water. So we're in the pool. It's like an Olympic-sized swimming pool, probably like 8 or 9 feet deep in the deep end. And it was time to do the taking off the masks and like clearing your mask and all of that, those exercises. So like when you have to take off your mask underwater and then put it back on and then clear all the water from the mask while staying underwater. Now for some reason I had like this mental block that every time I ripped off my mask, I'd either blow out all my air right away or my lungs wouldn't work at all and I couldn't breathe at all and I'd just be like this, like no. So the hard thing was for me was like trying to get past this mental block, and I must have tried at least like 12 times.
That's
it was
a lot.
So frustrating.
That's a lot of time.
Trying to like, and it's panicking. Like it's like you're like, oh my god, I can't do this, and you're like, okay, breathe out now into your goggles and get all the water out, and it's like nothing happening, nothing coming. And then other times you'd breathe out all your air, so you've got nothing left to like clear your mask. So you've got nothing left in the tank. You can't blow out the water.
This seems to be causing you
like
anxiety, and you're not even in the water right now. Like you're literally
I'm sweating.
We're literally just sitting in front of our van.
Yeah, it was panic inducing. It was really difficult.
Yeah.
So then fast forward like several years and we get this opportunity to go to El Nido in the Philippines, which is like one of the most beautiful places in the world and has some of the best diving in the world.
It's where I did my open water. So when we were going back, I'm like, oh, Ryan, since you've mentioned that you want to get your PADI open water, like I've done it there and it's really, really good. Like we should do it.
Right. And it has always been a dream of mine to do
And I knew
scuba
that.
diving.
And I never knew that he had this mental block.
Bucket list. Yeah, I never told you.
Never
because
knew.
Britt likes to talk about things. So if I told her that I was having these problems beforehand, we'd be talking about it for 3 days before I made the dive. Like, oh, how are you feeling? Do you think you're going to freeze up? Like, do you think you're over it? Do you think it's past? Do you think it's going to happen? Like, how are you feeling about it? And like, I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I'm going to pretend like it never happened and I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah, so you didn't tell me. I had no idea.
I didn't tell you at all, no. And so El Nido, it was a lot more fast-paced than what we were doing in college.
Because it's a vacation spot.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
so
you
you're
don't have
in and
a whole
out. You're there
year.
for like a week and you're out.
Yeah.
So it was 2 days online doing the classes and doing the thing. You show them
and
that
like
you passed all the tests and all that. And then you go in, you show them that you passed the test. And then the next day, you're literally putting on a wetsuit and walking out on the beach to jump on a boat. Yeah, so we're on this boat, all of us. There's like 4 or 5 of us and then instructors, like 3 instructors. So they drop all of you guys off in this beautiful, like we're surrounded by these rock formations and everything, crystal clear water. And you guys are all off the back of the boat, like do the backwards tumble. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I wish I could do that, but you know, I haven't tried it yet. And so you guys are all disappeared. And then they drive me and my instructor, because I'm the only one getting certified that day. It's just me and one instructor off to like a more shallow area. And there was nothing there. It was just sandy bottom. So we jump in the water. We're only about, again, 8 feet deep, not even. I could touch my fins on the ground. My biggest struggle actually was my fins kept digging into the ground and like trying to push me forward. So I couldn't like just kneel on the bottom. And I was like trying to...
Because you were still working on your buoyancy.
yeah. So I had to shift my weight belt to the back so it wouldn't like flip me over all the time. And then we're in the water. I got the first breath that you take from your regulator when you're in the water. It's such a cool feeling. Like everything in your body tells you shouldn't be breathing air right now. And then you just get that cold, like lovely like breath of air, and it's like, wow, that's cool. That's the best breath I've ever had.
Yeah, to experience that for the first time again would be really special.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Really cool. Anyway, it's time to do the taking off the mask and clearing the mask.
Were you literally like pooping yourself?
I was.
I was in fact pooping myself.
But I was also like kind of determined to do it because like I paid a lot of money, first of all, and we're here and now's the chance. Like now's the time. If I'm ever going to do it, it's now. So take off the mask, and I still had the regulator in my mouth, which was okay this time. And he's like, yep, okay, put it back on. And like, I was like, for half a second, my body was like, no.
Your body was like, no, nah, man.
It was like, nah. And then I remembered, okay, yeah, you got the regulator, you can breathe. And I breathed in, and then I breathed out through my nose, and it cleared like most of it. And then I got another breath, and I got the rest of it out. And it was good. The regulator helped me a lot there. Like, I was like using it as a little bit of a crutch, because I knew I could have the air.
You knew you could breathe,
Then the second time was, you got to take your regulator out, throw it away, and take off your mask, and then you got to start, and first thing you got to do is you got to find your regulator.
So you got to...
Yeah, you got to do this scoop. But I wasn't getting the scoop right. So you're supposed to go past your knee and go in a straight arm around, and then it will be here. Like, if you go like that, it's attached to your body, so it will be here. I was going the opposite way. I was going like this, trying to find it. I was like, couldn't find it. And he's like, no, go this way. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then every time it's right here, and then you could just put it in and breathe. You push the button and purge it. So eventually I figured that out, and I was like, yeah, got it, air, good. I can breathe, nice. Where's my mask? Let me get that on. All right. And I cleared it. And it was such a, like, it was a weight off my shoulders, because I've been worrying about this for like, since we decided we were going to go do this.
Yeah. And I had no idea that you had been worried.
Like, I wasn't going to say anything.
I knew it was a goal of yours, but I never knew you had this mental block that you were working so hard to get over, and that you were literally terrified of.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It was a big thing for me to get it done. And then we did all that. We did all the other, the tests in the confined water dive, passed all of that. And then it was time to go on the first open water dive, which was like the really like rewarding experience after like conquering that like mental block that I had.
Yeah.
Like, when we jumped in the water and we looked down, and it was just this like huge, like, it was basically a rainforest in the water of like all these like tropical like fish and like corals, turtles and all the coral.
You saw like a turtle your first time ever seeing. You saw like, did you see like a hawk turtle or a green turtle? What
hawkbill turtle, I think that's what it was called. And it's like it's a different world, and the way you move through it is different, and it's like you're floating and flying, and you can go in any direction you want. You can go up, down, left, right, whatever. Like, you're not restricted. It feels very freeing.
Yeah,
and it's
really
also
freeing.
very, very relaxing, because you have to focus on your breathing, which is almost like meditation. So like...
It is like meditating when you go down and dive.
Yeah, and the end up, it like became like one of the more relaxing things, and I was like, just be so chilled out.
Yeah.
It was
we also
nice.
Weren't diving super deep either. We were doing these reef
open
dives.
Water. It was like...
And it was fantastic.
18 meters, I think, is the deepest. Yeah. So, but it was hard for me to get past that like mental block, but then the reward and the eye-opening experience afterwards, and like the huge world that it opened up for me by overcoming that was hugely freeing for me, and it like expanded my mind, and I think it changed my brain a lot.
Yeah. I have overcame so many things while traveling. I think that's like the biggest part, for me at least, of traveling, particularly when I was traveling like as a female, was like overcoming those fears.
Right.
To begin with, I know one of the moments that really I had to like overcome, and I was really by myself, because you can solo travel and not really be by yourself, and then you can solo travel and like be by yourself. But when I was up, I don't know, I have a tattoo on my arm from Wang Ode, which we're still in the Philippines in the story, and it's hard to get to her. So the only way to get into this village is, if you're in Manila, you have to take like a 10-hour bus up to by like the Sagada area, which is where the coffins that are hanging on the side are. Like that's what they're famous for.
On the side of the cliffs?
The side of the cliffs, there's like hanging coffins. That's how they bury some of the people. And then, yeah. So it's easy to get there. Well, kind of easy. It's 10 hours, but it's just one bus. You get up there. Then once you get up there, you have to take another bus to another small town. Then from that small town, you need to get on this little like trike and with a driver. And then they're going to drive you out to the bus stop that you get on a jeepney. And now you sit on a jeepney, and then that's going to take you a couple more hours out where you then find a guide. Right? And this is very hard to do. And I'm by myself. Like I'm super by myself.
Super remote.
Super remote. I'm really by myself. Like I don't have anyone else I'm trying to figure this out with. I can't.
So you're not even traveling with a companion? There's
no,
nobody.
There's nobody. I'm by myself. There, I'm not even seeing any other
Westerners.
Like there's no other like foreign tourists there, because a lot of Filipino people come to go see Waynode and get tattooed as well. It's not just a foreign tourist thing. So no one really speaks English. I'm doing my best. But it's a lot of different languages up there too. It's not just everyone speaks Tagalog. Like everyone speaks like different things. So like I'm doing my best. They're doing their best. They kind of know where I'm going though. So I finally get there. I then have to find a guide. Because in this little village, the only way to get in and the only way to get out of the village is hiking.
Like there's no roads.
There's no roads in or out. And even to get there, the roads are so remote and they're so new, but because they're dirt roads, and like you're on this jeepney, you're sitting on the top of it, and you're going through like...
You're on the roof?
You're on the roof of it. I mean, you don't have to sit on the roof, but usually the inside is for like children and elderly. So if you're able-bodied to get up on the roof, you usually get up on the roof because this thing is packed, and they're picking up more people along the way. So they put you up out of the way because they do. Plus, it's fun. It's like part of the experience, and they know like you're a tourist, you want to go sit up there. And you're looking over it, and it's beautiful. It's so remote. It's these tiny little villages and like just jungle. Like there's so many hikes and everything up there. The roads are dirt roads. So, and there's a lot of rain. So like the roads get washed away continuously. So there's excavators and everything up there, like rebuilding all the roads. Like we got delayed like 2 hours because we had to wait
for an excavator to show up?
To rebuild a piece of the road so we could drive over it because there was a landslide. So when you finally get there, now you're at the entrance of the hike into this village.
Wow.
Yeah. There's so no roads in that if you have a medical emergency, they have this like pulley that they put you in and they slide you.
It's like a zip line
It's
almost?
like a zip line, yeah, but it's a little cage on a zip line and it's like human sized. And they use it to bring goods and stuff in too. But if there's an emergency, they put you in this little zip line and they send you across. So then you can get a bus or someone over there can like put you on their bike and like, yeah. That's how like, so you hike in, you hike down and you hike back up. And I found a woman who would take me. She was a teenager. She was like 15. And you stay with the family because this village is so remote and it's so small.
Yeah, there's no hotels.
There's no hotels. There's
hostels.
No, there's nothing. You stay with the family. And that evening, I found myself sitting on a dirt floor with like 4 or 5 generations as like grandma helps make me a bed. And I sleep in the living room full of all these people like next to grandma. Like they knew I was coming, so they slaughtered a chicken. Like, and in that moment, like there is nothing that can change your perspective more in life, in my opinion, than being like, I am in this small home.
Right.
Everyone is like living their life. Like the world for them is so much smaller. Is that better? Is that worse? That is a personal question. I don't know. I don't have the answers. But there was something so special about having these people like allowing me to come in and spend that, like, I mean, you're sleeping in the same room with these people. That's an intimate, experience. And everyone was so nice and they were so welcoming and they were so warm. And one of the things you do is Filipinos, you bring gifts.
Yeah.
You bring gifts, preferably the edible kind. So like I showed up, like I knew this. So I showed up and like I had like all these like treats and like baked goods and like cookies and like boxes and boxes of stuff, like, and you give it to their family, plus you pay, and it's just something you do. It's like a sign of respect. You like bring them stuff that they can't get so remote.
Yeah,
and,
of
like,
course. I'm sure there's a lot they can't get.
Yeah, so like I brought like all these like tasty like treats and things like that, and everyone was just so nice and kind, and it was something that is indescribable to be somewhere and sleeping on the floor, on the dirt floor with grandma, this family that has very little.
Yeah, like they don't have a lot, and they're killing one of their chickens.
Yeah,
for
and
you.
they're killing one of their chickens for me.
You're coming to
and
stay.
I'm like, thank goodness I brought them so many cookies and I didn't know what they'd like, so I brought like extra, like I didn't know, so I brought so much. And then like the kids are playing, and I always travel with colored pencils for kids, because a lot of people, like, you see these kids out and you give them money, you give them little things, and a lot of times it doesn't really end up where you think it's going to end up, because the world is a great place and the world is also a dark place. So I always bring colored pencil and like little pads of paper sometimes.
Right, because no one's going to take that from
No one's going to take that from the kids, and every kid likes that. So like I had colored pencils and little notebooks for the kids and was like giving to them. Plus those things don't cost that much from where we come from.
No.
You can get a pack of colored pencil, you can get a little pad of paper, and it's affordable for us to get. So I was
and
giving
you can get
those.
them anywhere.
And you can get them anywhere. Yeah,
Every country has colored
pencils.
pencils.
I bought them when I was in Manila before I left.
Right.
So like I came with things for the kids. I came with all the snacks for the adults and the kids, and everyone was just so kind. And of course I'm paying like them as well, so there's going to be a level of hospitality, but something in my mind just altered when I'm about just how much opportunity I have and how lucky I am, but also that luck is all in the perspective of who it's coming from.
Right.
Because when I was talking to them, they thought they truly felt they were the lucky ones. Because they were like, we don't understand why you want to travel. Is your home so bad
that you
want to come all the way here? We don't leave because we live in the most beautiful place. So it's just really, it was just something in my brain. It just changed.
It's a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a moment.
I did have a moment, and it happened really fast too. Like, this was just when we started the start of our trip. 3 weeks before this, I was in New York City working every single day. And by all measures of the word, I had the American dream. Like, a good job, nice car, motorbike. I didn't own a house, but I had a place to stay.
Yeah.
I pretty much had it made by most people's like measure of the world. But I wasn't happy. Like, obviously, it was killing my soul. I was not happy doing it, but I also felt like kind of guilty about that.
I would imagine you'd feel super guilty.
Because for everyone in Ireland, for the most part, the dream is to either go to Australia or America and get a good job and like make it.
Yeah.
And trying to get out, because Ireland is also like, there's not, like, it's very, everyone leaves, basically. Everyone leaves.
So you had came here, you got to this certain level of success, and then you didn't want it. And then that made you feel super guilty.
Yeah, because a lot of my friends would, like, that's the dream. Like, that's everyone's dream. And I thought that was my dream too, but after a while of doing it, I no longer wanted to.
Yeah.
And then we'd been dating for like 2 years at this point, I think, thereabouts. Mm-hmm. And you'd always been traveling. You'd always gone off solo traveling for long periods of time. I always really liked that about you. That was one of the things that we bonded over.
Yeah.
And I always had this dream in my mind that I was going to take a motorbike around the world. Like, that was always, I was like, I'm going to work. And then when I'm like 30, I'm going to save up all my money, buy a motorbike, and go around the world on it for 1 year. That was my plan.
And I was like, why 1 year?
Why only 1 year? Why? I was like, yeah. So we took out from JFK and we flew to Hanoi. We were in Hanoi for a couple of days. We rented motorbikes. Mm-hmm. And then we headed north. Like, after 2-3 days riding through the most beautiful countryside I've ever seen, we got to the border with China at the Longklu Flag Tower.
Yeah.
We climbed up these steps to this flag tower, looking out over mountains. This
China.
Remote villages.
Yeah.
And if you're looking out, all you see is like one temple and there's nothing else as far as you can see, just mountains. And I was just dumbstruck up there, like how big the world is, how easy it is to move around it, how interconnected everything is. But my whole world up until 3 weeks before that was New York City construction sites.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so, it was that click moment where everything, like, it's like you just felt your mind expanding and the world was just this huge oyster that you could pretty much do anything, go anywhere and experience. And up until that moment, I didn't really believe it was possible. Even when we made all the plans, we were doing everything, we were planning on spending like 5-6 months out traveling. It wasn't until that moment when it really, really clicked with me, and I was like, wow, we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
We're actually doing it. I can't believe 6 days ago I was in New York, and today I'm in this frontier village, is what they called it, on the border with China with nobody around.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
It's
I couldn't have imagined that. Yeah, it is really addictive.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
It was probably that moment that you truly caught the travel bug too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think for sure. Like, I always knew I wanted to travel, but at that moment, like, you're always chasing that next buzz of like new place, new experience, new thing, new food.
Yeah.
It's intoxicating.
Yeah. But then after, when you travel for such a long period of time, you start getting the opposite effect. And I had this when I did solo for like 8 months. Then I felt like I was so ready to like not live in a backpack anymore.
Yeah.
And that is like a mind-altering thing in itself, because when you first start out and you have those highs and you're like, the world is my oyster and like I'm gonna do this forever, and then like after doing it for so long and like always being moving, it's exhausting, like mentally, physically, spiritually,
packing
emotionally,
everything up every day and moving.
It's just it takes a huge toll. Like, you get decision fatigue because you're always having to decide like where are you gonna go next. You're always planning. You always like are on your Google Maps. Like, you're always lost. Like, you never like build a community that lasts. Like, you go into a hostel, you make friends, and everyone's always leaving.
Yeah.
So when I started getting to that realization that like I needed to stay somewhere a little longer, I almost was like, no, like I can't.
It is a hard thing to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like really hard.
Because like you think that travel is what you want to do, and it's like you must get as much of it as you can possibly get because you only have now.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. And like that.
And that's hard to come to terms with.
It really is hard to come to terms with. And I felt like super guilty because I'm like, oh, I'm out in Southeast Asia. I need to keep going. I need to keep doing.
Make the most of your time while you're here.
While I was there. Though I didn't really have a timeline the first time I went out. I was just like, I can be out for
forever.
The foreseeable future. So when I got to Bali, I like fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very livable, comfortable place to be. And then when I got to Lombok, I was like, no,
this is it.
I love this. And just to like, then I got a job and like, or I volunteered in one of the hostels, and then I started working and I started picking up clients, and I started just like my business started building and things started rolling. And to have that like switch in your mind of being like go, 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 to then starting to build community, an international community, which is like this incredible feeling that you now have these friends and this community base that comes from all over the world. And I think that's really something that you start to learn when you are traveling, and then you slow down, but you're still somewhere else.
Right.
It's that slow travel that I think.
That's when you really make those bonds. Unless you're traveling with people.
Yes, but even with that, like, even when you're traveling with people, you're still just going all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're making those bonds.
No, I'm saying you only make the bond with the person you're traveling with.
Yes, you're only making the bond with the people you travel with.
Like if you're passing through too fast, you don't really make a connection.
No.
It's hard.
And it's hard, though, when you stay at some place, too, because people are always leaving. So you're always saying goodbye. It's always someone's going away party, and it's always someone's birthday.
Yeah.
Because everyone's coming in and they're leaving and they're coming in and they're leaving. And a place like Lombok, you get like a lot of Australians that work the mines. So like they come for a week and then they go back for 2 weeks and then they come for a week. So you're like making friends that come back that you see like twice a month.
Right.
And it's just like this very strange thing. And then when time goes on, because for me, this is now a couple years ago, I'm still in contact with so many of those people that I built that community with.
Yeah.
And I think that's something altering too, because it's the moment that you think the world's so big, and then there's the moment where you find out the world's so small.
Yeah.
And it like goes full circle, and you're like, wow. And how similar we all are.
Yeah, from all backgrounds.
All backgrounds. Like, we all have like the basic necessities that we want for life. Everyone's needs and perspectives and ideas are different, but at the foundation, like, things are so similar. So you can find likenesses with people
from all over the world.
From all over the world, all different religions.
Some things are just universal.
Some things are just universal. that is it for this week's episode of the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We will leave you with that today. You can find us at @Rangeless_ at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, depending on where you're listening. You might be on YouTube and you might be on Spotify. And until next week, bye.